What many had feared. The remains found in a wooded Orlando neighborhood are those of missing 2-year-old Anthony Cayley. For more than a week, investigators have been combing the woods a few blocks from the Anthony family home. This afternoon, the Orange County medical examiner confirmed that DNA from those skeletal remains found in the woods matched Cayley Anthony's genetic profile. They also ruled her death a homicide. Our Rebecca Medina was at this afternoon's dramatic news conference and joins us now with team coverage. Good evening, Rebecca.
Good evening, Brendan. Well, as you mentioned, today the medical examiner's office did confirm that the skeletal remains found are in fact Cayley Anthony's, and they confirmed that she was murdered. All of this, of course, blowing a major hole in Casey Anthony's story, that she knows her daughter is still alive and she knows who took her. Before a room packed with reporters, the Orange County Sheriff's Office announced the skeletal remains found near George and Cindy Anthony's house are in fact those of Cayley Marie Anthony.
The manner of death in this case is homicide. The cause of death will be listed as homicide by undetermined means.
Sheriff Kevin Berry and the FBI maintain the 2-year-old's killer is her mother, Casey, who's already in jail and charged with murder. Do you think that you can even get a fair trial with Casey being one of the most, for a lot of people, one of the most detested people in America?
You know, we're going to certainly try. We're going to try our best to get her a fair trial. We're going to do everything possible. We've been fighting, and we've just begun.
Casey's attorney, Jose Baez, is angry they weren't notified before the announcement came to the press. But he said he wasn't surprised, and he maintains his client is innocent.
My client has told me she's not guilty. She's innocent, and we're moving forward. And again, I got to tell you something. You really do not know half of the story.
Though there is still much more ahead, including Casey's murder trial, Sheriff Kevin Berry became emotional at the mention of getting closer to a case closed.
You know, I've raised 2 girls. Goodness gracious. Bottom line is, folks, no child should have to go through this.
It was a very emotional day today for many here in Orlando. Now, you heard the medical examiner offer that this was a homicide by undetermined means. What that means is that basically no one will ever really know. We will never really know how Cayley Anthony was actually killed. But she also mentioned that because of the way the body was found, information gathered at the scene, and the circumstantial evidence found in this case, all of those things make this case a homicide. We're reporting live in Orlando tonight. Rebecca Medina, ABC Action News.
Thank you, Rebecca. Well, tonight we're also learning new details about the discovery of Cayley's remains. Last Thursday morning, a meter reader called police saying he had discovered remains. He found them in a wooded area near Chickasaw Trail and Suburban Drive. That location is just blocks away from the Anthony family's home on Hope Spring Drive. And then late this afternoon, the meter reader held a news conference. Our Chris Martinez continues our team coverage for us now. He joins us live from Orlando with more on this. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Linda. That meter reader is Roy Kronk, and he did appear earlier today with his attorney, briefly talking about all of his attempts to lead deputies to Cayley.
My name is Roy Kronk.
Reading a brief statement to reporters, the meter reader who found Cayley Anthony's remains revealed himself publicly for the first time, refusing to get into specifics about all of the evidence he discovered.
I discovered and reported to my management and appropriate authorities the remains of a human body located in a wooded area close to the Suburban Drive in East Orange County.
Kronk called in a tip leading investigators to Cayley's remains last week, the bones found in a wooded area about a half-mile from her grandparents' home. But we now know that wasn't his first call. The Orange County Sheriff's Office admitting yesterday that Kronk called 3 times before, in August, with the same tip.
I had previously reported to Crime Line and to the Sheriff's Communication Center that I had spotted something suspicious, a bag in the same area.
Authorities are now looking into why his original tips weren't investigated more thoroughly, adding Kronk is not a suspect, instead calling him a credible witness.
He has no connection whatsoever to this case. He has no connection whatsoever to the Anthony family or any of the proceedings that have gone on before. He is here as a concerned citizen and no more.
And in his statement today, Kronk emphasized that he is cooperating fully with the Orange County Sheriff's Office and also the FBI as this investigation goes on. And already, Casey Anthony's defense attorneys, they are trying to shift a lot of attention over to Kronk's story and over to his original tips made back in August. No doubt they're going to make that a very big issue when this goes to trial. We're live tonight in Orlando. I'm Chris Martinez, ABC Action News.
Thank you, Chris. Right now, Caylee Anthony's 22-year-old mother, Casey's in the Orange County Jail accused of murdering her daughter. Shortly before the medical examiner held a news conference identifying Caylee's remains, a jail chaplain told Casey Anthony that the remains found in the woods were those of her daughter, Caylee. Well, tonight, an attorney for Casey Anthony is refusing to comment on the mother's reaction to that news.
Caylee Anthony had been missing for 6 months. Investigators say she vanished back in June, but her mother did not report her missing until July 15th. They say Casey Anthony told them she left her daughter with a babysitter, but investigators say the woman with that name claimed she didn't know Casey Anthony. On July 16th, Anthony was taken into custody on child neglect charges. On October 14th, Anthony was charged with her daughter's murder. Her trial date is set for March of 2009.
And here's a look at what's next in the case. The medical examiner is still waiting for final reports from scientists who are testing evidence found at the scene. The medical examiner is also waiting for toxicology tests to come back. Prosecutors say they're now preparing their case for court.